The topic today is improving performance in IT service delivery. And it does say IT service delivery in the title, and that's the area that we're going to focus on the most. But I want to start and end just looking in general at our service economy, the sectors in our service economy, and the fact that so many sectors in the service economy, IT included, suffer and seem to be getting worse in the area of credibility and customer satisfaction. And so that is really what is driving this. We're really talking about more and more often the unacceptable levels of performance, slow responsiveness, poor communications, lack of follow-through, and really inconsistent execution. So if you're in, industries like the financial services industry, the hospitality industry, entertainment, healthcare, education, personal services, transportation, or your whole company, your whole enterprise is about IT services, we're really talking about this topic, and the approach that we're talking about for improving applies. And as I said, we're going to talk about some best practices in the new CMMI for Services model, and it of course can be applied, and we're going to show examples of applying it in the IT space specifically. But we do want to talk about the broader business space, particularly when IT systems are a major part of what CMMI for Services talks about as the service system. So we're going to show, how IT can play a big role, not only in improving their own service, but in business processes improvement as it applies to their greater enterprise. So the topics that we want to cover first, just get some context around and some perspective around the importance of the service industry in the whole global economy. Let's talk about some typical service problems and keep it general. And then, what's the vision of improved service across industries? And then dive down and talk about IT in general. And talk about a vision for IT service delivery. What's the difference between, a product focus and a service focused in IT? And then show some examples of how CMMI for Services applies in the IT space. And then we'll go into some of the process areas in CMMI for Services, and then finally end up talking about maybe a different view of using CMMI for Services in the enterprise. So that said, let's move in. Sure, I'm tight. There we go. And talk a little bit about, just level set on the importance of the service industry. Probably many of you have seen this. This is a topic that, is prevalent in the media these days. The service economy, both in the U.S. and the global economy, is a growing percentage of most nations' economies. And the current list of the Fortune 500 companies from the U.S. perspective contains more service companies and fewer manufacturing companies than ever before. So services are definitely integral to most every business sector. And obviously in IT, we've got some quotes here that I think are indicative of where we're going in IT. Software as a service is gradually going to take over more and more of the IT infrastructure, and I think for most of us we can say that that's the case now when we look at how we're using IT to support our own businesses. And then CIOs, I like this one, CEOs don't buy software anymore, they buy service level agreements. So definitely a huge part of what we're talking about are improving the services that we provide to our customers. And I just want you to think, if you could identify, in the next 30 seconds or less, as we go through this list, what are 5 service situations where you're the customer? And I was thinking about this myself today. I mean, what are the things that are, that are affecting your life today? I have a doctor's appointment after this. We're dealing with car insurance and disability insurance, and I'm interfacing regularly now with the IT systems that are supporting that workflow for us. Home repairs, we're in the middle of, issues with our pool. I live down here in Florida, our lanai, we have housekeeping, we have a lawn service, pool service, and each one of those services are interacting with us, and their service system is either helping, to deliver the service or not. Talk a little bit about that. And then, of course, when I think about this question, we have our own, our own business. And what are we really talking about there? We certainly deal with, web hosting services and a lot of software as a service in terms of the accounting, web conferencing, phone conferencing, travel that we have to do to go and work with our customers. So when I think about the question, I think of those kinds of industries, some of them very IT intensive and others not. But these problems, seem to be universal when we look at things like service levels not being, consistent. I don't know what you think about. I often, as a consultant, think about what are the typical root problems of some of these issues that we have in service delivery. Is it a volume? Is it capacity? Is it the IT systems that are preventing, the broader service levels from being kept? Is it people issues? And, overcommitment is common. And again, what is that? Is that an estimation problem? Is that a measurement problem? Is it a crisis problem, which, we have showing up a couple of bullets down? Promises are made but not kept. This is something that just popped into me. I had written this presentation a while ago. I'm working on a white paper now about execution and the problems that we have in all services with really executing in the way that we should be. So communication and follow-up is lacking, and I'm sure you all have experienced that, and I think about the examples that I rattled off, how chronic the problem is of follow-through. And again, I think it's an execution problem. The atmosphere is constantly in crisis mode. I'm not sure that this is a general observation about services industry, but I'm certain from our own consulting work that it seems to be prevalent in the IT world. And the question, becomes, it seems like we're handling, more incidents than requests. And again, the root cause of that might be a many-faceted problem, and we're going to talk about that, but I think this is a place where CMMI for Services can help maybe change that paradigm for us. Performance and customer satisfaction varies wildly by individual. I do think this is a cross-industry characterization, but do see that, again, what's the root cause? Is it a training issue? Is it process fidelity or compliance? And we know that service is a very personal industry that we're talking about. People are a huge component of the service system, and you don't want to wipe out the unique, customer relationship management skills that your staff has. But on the other hand, how can we leverage and recruit and hire and train and deploy people that